Hi, everybody. You're listening to Let's Talk ETC. I'm your host, Carlo V, along with my co-host, Dr. Christian Severino. I just want to thank everybody for taking the time to check out the. Damn it! I'm gonna do it again. We always have one of those. We always have one of those.
You're gonna get on the first
I said I don't have my script in front of me right now.
That was good. You were on a roll.
All right. Here we go. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Hi, everybody. You're listening to Let's Talk ETC. I'm your host, Carlo V, along with my co-host, Dr. Christian Severino. We have a really special guest with us this week. He goes by Dontpanicburns on the ETC Slack and also on the ETC Reddit. Also in the news, we've had a pretty turbulent week with the markets. So anybody that's freaking out a little bit about Bitcoin, ETC, whatever you got in your crypto portfolio, don't worry too much. Looks like we had a nice bounce back today and things are starting to settle in. But as you guys know, these are turbulent times 24/7, 365. So for anybody new, get used to it because it really never changes. It always feels like there's something going on. And also a special note, about this time last year, the DAO incident occurred, which kind of set this whole ETC thing in motion. So maybe we can get a little bit more into that later on in the show. But first, I just want to introduce Cody. Cody, thanks for being on the show.
Hey, thanks for
really appreciate you taking the time. Yeah, absolutely.
Hello. Yeah, welcome.
So, Cody, something we like to do on the show, at least for someone's first time on, is kind of give a little introduction and people's background so anyone listening can hear about some of the cool people that are working on the project behind the scenes. So what was your kind of background leading into tech, whenever that was or whatever you were doing?
Well, I guess it started out, I had computers ever since I was a teenager. I was pretty fortunate. So I grew up in a small town in East Texas where there wasn't very many people or things to do, but like I said, I had a computer, so I learned how to program, and I've always just really loved technology. And this was early 90s is whenever I guess started in computers. I had a TI 99 was my first computer. You had to program it in BASIC just to get it going.
Oh, that was my first one also. The 99.4A.
Yep, 99.4A. Bill Cosby sold it.
See, to me, I hear that and all I hear is calculator, but I guess that was a computer back in the early 90s. Is that right?
It was a fancy calculator at least. But it's probably as powerful as the EVM at least.
16 kilobytes of memory, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, sounds like a beast.
Yeah, you could plug a tape player into it if you wanted to save your programs.
Yep, I did that. So. Half the time, it even half the time. But.
Yeah.
Could you play Snake on it? That's the question.
Oh yeah, you could play Snake and Tanks and stuff if you just spent 3 or 4 days sitting there programming it all in and didn't have any mistakes in your code, whatever you got through. So it was.
Okay, so computers at a young age, that definitely lends itself to being as skilled as definitely you are with all this stuff. So computers at a young age, and then college. Did you stay in Texas? You leave Texas?
Left Texas. Like I said, I grew up in a really small town, so that was the first thing I wanted to do was get out of there because I had no desire to marry my cousin or be a pro rodeo star or whatever. So I ran away from home and joined the Marines whenever I was 18. So that's where I got into communications. I went to boot camp in San Diego, and then I was in 29 Palms, California for a year doing communications school. So I did.
And so how long total were you in the Marines for?
9 years total.
Wow.
Yeah, my first enlistment was 5 years because of the year of school, and then after that, I wanted to be a drill instructor for some reason. And
you did what?
Yeah, I was briefly, I was a drill instructor in Paris Island. That didn't work out well.
Okay. Where? So you were a drill instructor, but then it wasn't working out, and did they reassign you to something else, or you chose, or they chose? What happened with that?
It was a mutual thing, I guess. It was not a shining moment in my military career, but went back to doing communication stuff, and then went to Iraq, and then I decided to get out and go to college.
So you're a nerd that can defend himself. So
Yes.
that's impressive. Okay.
Sure.
So you went. So you were into computers.
Mm-hmm.
You were into developing. Joined the Marines. Then you were a drill instructor. Went to Iraq and came back and went to college. Where'd you go?
Right. I did it online because by that time I was married, had kids. So
Right. Well, by the
went
way,
to
for anyone listening, we were having a conversation before the show, and I was mentioning I kind of knew Cody's backstory a little bit, and I said that he was out of the ETC world, he's the most interesting man of the ETC world for sure. So so okay, so you were settled down, you got went to college online for your degree and everything, and then you got back into tech.
yeah, once I got out, I got a job as a firefighter, and since I had my communications and electronics and all that background, I ended up working at a 911 center.
Okay.
While I was an EMT firefighter, and then doing
Yeah.
the communication stuff also. So I did that for
Jesus.
about 3 years while I finished my bachelor's degree. And
Are your days like 35 hours long or something? What the
sure feels
he's
like
an,
it
he's
sometimes.
an EMT. He's an EMT firefighter doing the
Great.
911 and the communications and going to college with a wife and kid. I feel like
Yep.
I can't accomplish anything right now.
Wait,
Well,
now
that
I
was
have to ask. Yeah, now I'm curious. So was that stressful? Like if you come
Was
home,
that stressful?
Yeah.
come to work, lay down on the job and oops, sorry, you couldn't send the ambulance out on time.
No, it wasn't a really high turnover. We didn't run a whole lot of calls. I worked in a really nice part of town, so things didn't really catch on fire that often.
Okay.
Medical calls for most of it. So we'd work 24-hour shifts. So you'd get there at 7 and then sleep at night, eat meals there, and
Okay.
then you work one day
Gotcha.
on, one day off, one day on, and then like 5 days off. So
Okay.
I
So
mean,
what
it sounds
did you do?
Gotcha.
What did you do after, or maybe you still work for that, or did you do something else after that?
after that, went to oil and gas stuff,
Okay.
doing seismic surveying. So it's pretty much you go out ahead of the drilling crews
Mhm.
whenever they pick a area and they want to figure out what's underneath it. So they go out and do a survey of it, and you basically find out who owns all the land, who has the surface rights, the mineral rights, and then take a big sonogram pretty much of the whole area.
Okay.
So then he became an oil man. Now,
Well,
how did you get into that?
it was a family business. It's what my dad had always done. So
Okay, I see.
yeah, so that
Yeah,
was
no, I can
No,
see
that's
the
still
communications angle.
cool.
Yeah, the acoustics. You could use your communications background there, but maybe a little.
Mhm. Yeah, it's actually pretty tech heavy because you need to store that amount of data. You used to have terabytes and terabytes of data that they've kept for years, and they process through all of it because they'll do 100 square mile area. So it's pretty data intensive.
Right.
And that got me into databases and kind of cluster computing more or less because we always had just shitty computers. So figuring out how to hook them all together and
Yep.
try to make a halfway powerful computer so we could make it do what we wanted to do.
Is that all the stuff you did, or did you then take do something even more different?
They wanted to take him to the moon, but he said he was busy.
Yeah, that's on hold still. No, that's whenever I started doing the master's degree. Was whenever I was doing that.
Okay.
So, University of Houston, I started to get my MBA because I just wanted to learn more about business and stuff.
Okay. Good.
So,
And so how did you find yourself then in did you was your
blockchain.
degree in
Yeah.
blockchain, but was your degree in software?
Which one?
Computer science? Your bachelor's?
Bachelor's was in emergency management.
Okay. And then
So
you got an
disaster
MBA.
recovery and stuff. Yeah, I got my
Or you worked on an MBA.
Yeah, well, I just finished it last May. I got my MBA.
Okay,
So I've never
then
actually went to college for computer stuff.
I see. So are you are you big into your self-taught programming? Big into programming?
I try to be. I mean, I can program okay. I'm not
Okay.
I'm not super great at it. That's why I'd probably never have a job as a real developer, but I can recode and
Okay.
figure out, find bugs and things like
And then
that.
so how did you fall into ETC?
Well, got into Bitcoin back in whenever it surged big, I think 14 or so, where everyone thought, oh, well, we totally missed the bus on this because it just hit $1,000, so we'll never own a Bitcoin.
Right.
And then it crashed. So that's about
Right.
the time I got into
Right.
Bitcoin.
Okay.
And during the oil and gas stuff, one of the big parts of it was finding all the land records, and it is
Okay.
an absolute nightmare if you go anywhere like Louisiana or Pennsylvania or anywhere where anyone's actually looking for oil right now, because you have to go to courthouses and then dig through courthouse records and find a chain of title all the way back to whenever the first person sold the land and follow all the splits in it, and it's just terrible. So around the end of 2015, I think, is when I heard of Ethereum for the first time. That seemed like the missing link in all the blockchain stuff for me. Well, Bitcoin it wasn't called blockchain back then, really. Everyone.
Right. Yeah.
Did you bring up the land title issue because you thought that blockchains would be helpful for that? Or?
Yeah, they still would be very helpful for it. You could get a local government or something to digitize all the records. That would completely
Now,
be revolutionary.
I imagine that's kind of something that Factum is working on, I believe. Correct? I mean, not working on, they're doing it.
Right.
Factum.
Yeah, and
so
I
they're
think,
doing some pretty cool stuff.
I think for you would agree. So in America, it's just an annoyance having to work hard to dig up the records. But I think in other countries, like I think Honduras had a big problem with that, where the dictator can just say, "Wait, no, that's that's not the records. I have the accurate records." And
yeah, that's what I think Factum's doing theirs in South America right now. They have a contract down there.
Okay.
But yeah, it's hard enough
Yeah,
in I guess the civilized world of the United States, so as civilized as Southern Louisiana can be. But you'll have, I guess, basically the tools that whenever they were going through doing the original surveys was back in 100 years ago as accurate as they could get the instruments. And if you're shooting a line out 2,000 or 3,000 feet, then you just carry air with you so much. So there's always going to be some mistakes in it. And then someone's brother sold something and didn't tell anybody, and there was always little quirks to it going through. So, but if it was a public distributed ledger, then everybody could see it at once, and that was always what I thought would be an awesome use for Ethereum. And so, like I said, that was back in 15.
Okay, and so you were interested in Ethereum, and then what got you to focus on Ethereum Classic?
Well, to be honest, whenever the split was happening last year, this time, I didn't think anyone would actually stay with the other chain.
Okay.
It didn't make any sense that if you're going to reverse transactions and stuff like that, it would have any value. So it just didn't make any sense to me that anyone would actually stay with it. Turns out I was wrong. So I'll admit that.
But
apparently
so you
some
disagreed.
people were into it.
Yeah, you disagreed with the reversal, or what the state change, I guess, is the correct, technically right way to say it.
Yeah, the regenesis block, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So, and then, so we've talked about your background. Then why don't you kind of share some of the things you're working on related to ETC?
Right now, the big thing that we're working on, Lane and Chuck and I have been working on the TokenMint. It's going to be I guess, an educational platform more or less for deploying the ERC-223 tokens and having crowd sales. And it's we started a couple weeks ago on the Classic wallet. We made the, I guess, more or less troll site of the ICO machine. So now we've split that off into its own project, and you'll be able to deploy tokens with one click and have crowd sales, and actually try to educate people on the different types of crowd sales, what a victory auction is, or.
So do you prefer the term crowd sale to initial coin offering? Does ICO
definitely don't say, yeah, you definitely shouldn't say ICO anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
people keep doing it. Actually, what I wanted to ask you about also is, so for anybody listening, Cody or Don't Panic, or whatever moniker you want to call him, Cody was here since day one with ETC, and he's just done so much for the community in so many different ways. So first, I want to thank you on air for everything you've done, and also now that we're kind of approaching this whole DAO anniversary date, what do you see as how far ETC has come, and some of the differences in the industry from last year to this year, like kind of in reference to the global climate of everything that's going on, and how things are now, and maybe some things you see for the future, because it just seems like the DAO feels like yesterday, but it's now been a whole year, pretty much since that happened, and so much has happened since then. But also, things are the same, and yet they're different.
Yeah, like I said, it's the ETC. I feel like we've done a whole lot in the last year compared to, like I said, I don't follow ETH as much, but I mean, ETC that capped the supply, disabled the difficulty bomb. We've managed to stay alive for an entire year without any of the funding or support of that the other chain has. I mean, we don't have the marketing. There's not huge press events. We don't have paid spokesmen. But I mean, just as a community effort with ETC, the price now is higher than it was last year. If price is an indicator of it, like I said, we don't have the hype cycle that the other ones do. But as far as technological and just systems, I think ETC's done a lot. The Emerald wallet's coming out. I know Igor's been working on the Sputnik EVM. IOHK has been working on their client and reworking the I think
the Scala Scala Grothendieck client, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So like I said, it feels like ETC we've done a lot. The investment trust has come around.
That's right. Yes, we have good fundamentals.
Yeah. And like I said, we have terrible marketing, but everything else is pretty solid. We don't have a solid inflow of ICOs, I guess. We don't have people pumping the crap out of the system, but we're working on that. So,
but crowd sales.
Crowd sales. Yeah. Like I said, I saw yesterday that Expanse is going to start focusing on that too. The other type of Ethereum.
Yeah, I know. I know the Expanse chain.
Lab. Yeah, they have a token lab is coming out for them, which is kind of the same thing as TokenMint, where you'll be able to just easily launch standardized contracts.
Now, is the reason you were motivated partly to do TokenMint because you had a lot of people that were confused or making buggy crowd sale contracts?
Not so much buggy as it just seems like there's a whole lot of mystery behind it, the whole process. Everyone thinks, oh, it's an ICO, they've done something special and magical. And with the first version we put out, we literally copy and pasted the code that's on the front page of ethereum.org. And the first contract on there is how to make a token, and the second one is how to do a crowd sale. So we just took that and put it with a one-click button.
Okay. Yeah.
Because right now there's.
Go ahead.
I was going to say right now, like I said, a new token comes out every other day, and they're pretty much reinventing the wheel, and it's like they've invented fire, and all they're doing is making the simplest contract that you can on Ethereum.
Yeah. So do you get a lot of emails from startups saying, please help us to do a token or do a crowd sale?
No, I haven't yet.
Okay. Maybe
I
a
said
layer.
perhaps maybe after TokenMint gets going.
Okay. All right. And
Yeah,
then
I think the infrastructure for that is still being developed, and
Yeah. Well, that's a big problem on
hopefully,
both chains is that there's not really good user interfaces. It's everyone's
yeah,
still super focused on, oh, look, I can do all you have to do is enter these commands into the prompt and then it'll do this and that. And
uh,
there's not a nice, pretty face in front of it as
sure.
far as software goes. That's what I guess TokenMint will bring to the table is you can look at it and anybody could say, oh, well, look, you just put this field here and here. The code's in the
Okay.
background. You don't really have to think about it.
Yeah.
interesting.
Gotcha. All right. Now, and then also another project that you mentioned that you were working on, which seemed interesting to me, is StateBot. Can you
Yeah.
kind of introduce the audience to what that's all about?
Yeah, it's StateBot. It's at statebot.info right now is its top level domain. It's entirely run on IPFS and ETC,
Okay.
and a Raspberry Pi is the back end of it. But every week it's run in parity and it keeps the database synced. And it's so around Saturday it stops and it starts exporting the whole state. So every single account that's ever been
Mhm.
mentioned on the chain, whether it has zero balance and anything, it's about, I want to say 1.8 gigs worth of a JSON file right now.
Uh-huh.
So it exports that and then uploads it to the IPFS cluster, and then it sends the hash of it to its smart contract, and the smart contract is read by another system that's running on IPFS. So the whole web front end is on IPFS, and it just pings one of the public APIs and gets the data from the contract.
Okay. So there's so much we could talk about for that. That's interesting. So for the people that don't know, so IPFS is an interplanetary file system. So it's basically a distributed file system that supports ETC, right? Because it would be too expensive to store gigabytes of data on the ETC blockchain.
Right.
Now, what was the need? What was the use case? So, because we all agree that the blockchain is secure, there's no danger that anybody could mess with the state, right? And so, what
Mhm.
was the reason that you were motivated to write the state to IPFS?
Because it's really hard to find information on it. If you wanted to query accounts, it's not an easy task to do. And if it's in a JSON format, then anybody can just link to it and pull it into a database and see how many accounts are above one ETC balance and just count the
Oh,
total number of
okay.
accounts and anything you want to do. You can find out how many, if you had a snippet of code, you can find out how many times that snippet of code's in there just with you can
Yeah.
pull it into our project or link it on
Yes.
your website.
So the blockchain is secure. Nobody's disputing that, but the blockchain
Hmm.
basically it has hashes. So you could in principle get the state at any point in time you wanted, but you have to rerun the world computer from right the beginning of
Yeah.
time. And so it's possible and it's secure, but it's annoying. But with your system, it's much more convenient. Okay, so now I can see why.
Yeah, it's just a
Yeah.
weekly snapshot of every account that's been out there.
So
Otherwise, you'd have to be running a full node and
yeah, and
query
even
each account yourself.
that's right. And when you run a full node, it's optional whether you want to store the state for.
Right.
So then that of course requires so much more storage space, and so some people elect not to do that. But the obvious concern then is how secure can somebody extract the state, let's say from 3 days ago, right?
Hmm.
Do you have any? What can you say to assure people that have that worry?
If they're wondering how if there's been any changes or anything on StateBot, is
Or
that what you're saying?
like could somebody mess with the state that you store with StateBot? Is there a security risk if I trust your state rather than replaying the entire blockchain
Uh,
information?
there shouldn't be, I guess, is the easiest answer to it. Whenever it goes into the IPFS system, it
Okay.
takes the hash of the whole file,
Okay.
and then that's the link to it whenever you're whenever you try to get a file out of IPFS, any system that's
Okay.
on the network can get it. They just have to have the hash of it.
Oh, okay.
So
So I see. So if I was worried about, tampering, I could hash what I get from. I could hash my JSON file to
mhm.
verify that it was not tampered with. Okay, yeah. So that's certainly secure. And also for people that don't, I'm kind of curious about IPFS. So it's distributed just like ETC is distributed, but how, like, do you have to pay for the storage that you're using, or can you kind of describe it? So maybe if people want to have an application that needs a lot of storage, how does that work?
Right. It's not like storage, where with storage, it's another file system, but with storage, everyone shares the same files. Everything's spread across the system, and you get paid for the storage you want.
Okay.
With IPFS, it's your local system. You run a node yourself, and everything you put on it is just on your system. If
Okay.
somebody wants to share it out, it's just like
Mhm.
the Pirate Bay. They have to know whatever file you're trying to share with them, and then they would download the file from you, and then both of you would have a copy. And if a third person wanted it, then it would pull from both of you, and it spreads like that. So it's more of a file sharing system.
Oh, okay. So then you have a server with a fat hard drive someplace that you're
Right.
writing. Okay. And so then you're saying, and then if there was a lot of demand, then it would automatically get distributed
Yeah,
across.
as more people, as you download a file from IPFS, it stays on your system, and it starts seeding out to other computers that want it.
Okay. And how
So
did
you
you
don't
come up?
store other people's stuff.
Yeah. How did you come up with the idea for StateBot? That's kind of clever.
It was, I just couldn't find the information that I wanted to in an easy format, because that's what I was trying to do, was just do analysis on the blockchain
Okay.
and pull it into our project. And then I started playing with IPFS, and it seemed really cool. And that's when I found out you could host a whole website on your IPFS, and
Yeah.
people could reach it from the outside world, and you could put a top level domain on it. So
Okay.
that's really cool.
Now you talked about analysis. Is there anything you're cooking up in the other projects that that pertains to, or that you want to share?
No, nothing, nothing really that I can think
Here's
of. I was just,
something.
uh-huh.
Oh, I was gonna say, here's something that I want to ask you about. So, now that we've come from last year to this year, and you know, we're talking like tangible type of stuff, but I know actually Matt or Snaproll hates these questions, but what do you see, given that you have such a history of so many different fields that you've worked in and so many different applications I'm sure you could think of for blockchain, what do you see as kind of some of the future use cases for ETC that you could just brainstorm off the top of your head, whether they're really feasible or not, that can be debatable, but just
Right.
some things that you'd love for ETC to potentially be used for. And maybe anyone listening out there who's a developer can start thinking of ways to get it done.
Uh, Financial instruments are still a big one. I think it'd be really neat if securities and just public records in general can be stored on a blockchain that could tie into a public, because the public ledgers, I think, the way to go. I don't understand the principle behind having private blockchains. It's, you easily do the same stuff with a SQL database and be
Yeah.
1,000 times faster and not have the security risk of it. But with the public chains, if you're doing stuff like Airbnb or something like that, and you can actually tie it into a blockchain, then that actually has value.
You said Airbnb. Can you expand on that more? The Airbnb and blockchain?
Right. Things that I guess involve two different people that don't trust each other. The best use case for it. Like
Okay,
token
I see.
contracts, I don't really, yeah. Token contracts, it seems like it's just a company who's might as well just be selling gift cards or be running a World of Warcraft server type thing and just have their own service. It doesn't, I don't see what the value of having it on a public blockchain other than you get to say the magic word blockchain and ICO and get $30 million in 5 minutes. But if you're doing setting up a service where two counterparties can meet each other and then not have to trust in a third party, then that's where I see the value in the public chain. If you could have registry of like apartments that are open. I went to Hong Kong last year, and space there is ridiculously expensive. Like for a 600 square foot room, it was thousands of dollars a month. So if you wanted to sublet that out, you could list it on a registry, and then somebody else could get it off the registry and meet up without having to involve a third party. That'd be a really cool use case.
Sure. And then of course the land titles, like we were talking about.
Yeah,
right.
Public land titles, reducing the overhead on that would be great. Or futures contracts. That was one of the first things I was thinking about with ETC was with the miners being able to, I guess, do more or less time locking futures contracts with selling their hash. Someone could pay a miner 100 ETC today, and then the miner would mine it to a contract and then pick it up at the end of the month. That money would be released to their account. So you'd pay 100 ETC today for 100 ETC at the end of the month, and then the miners could finance their stuff.
So like is that, would that be for like insurance for the miners?
More or less financing for it, because that's the hardest part with any commodity, is whether you're drilling for oil or growing crops. The hardest part is the startup, because if you're a farmer and you're trying to raise corn, you don't know what the price of corn is going to be at the end of it, so you don't even know if it's worth your effort. But that's forward contracts and future contracts take that mystery out of it. Someone can, baker can pay the farmer now.
I see.
Yeah. So the end user can pay a fixed price today, and they'll know they have a guaranteed supply whenever they need it. And the farmer can get the money today, so that he doesn't have to worry about, oh, if I grow this corn and I sell it in the future, is the price going up or down? It's pretty much a closed system.
So that would be a secure and efficient way to fund mining, the expansion of mining, ETC mining then?
Yeah, if you're someone who's trying to run a mining business, they don't really care, I guess. I don't guess that's the right way of saying it. They care about the system, but to them, it's about the money. They have costs, they have overhead, they have systems they need to run, they have people they have to pay. And if you're constantly living hand to mouth of you've mined all month and you have to sell it for your electricity, that's just stressful. You have to plan ahead. I mean, it's always good to plan ahead whenever you're doing expansions, but if you knew that you could mine and that the contracts were filling themselves and paying out the people who have already given you ETC, and you're a profitable mining company and you're reputable, someone could pay you for, for a fact you're going to mine 3,000 ETC more or less by the end of the month. You could get that at the beginning of the month and pay your bills, do everything you want, and keep your lights on and not have to worry about the backside of it, because everything's taken care of on smart contracts.
Makes sense.
Right.
Now, do you have any worries or concerns for ETC? As Carlos said, you've been here since the beginning a year ago, and we've done a lot of good work. Is there anything kind of that worries you?
The lack of the user front end still has a long way to go. I said everyone's really excited about it, but I don't think that many people are using it as much as they're just trading it. Just because we don't really have any good interfaces for it. We have the web front end, and Parity is really good, and the Mist client works if you can hold your mouth right and tie some wires together and make stuff work. But there's not a functional DApp front end for it. That's the Emerald wallet. Whenever it comes out, that's one of its features is its modular design. So you'll be able to plug into it and it makes application development just that much easier. Because right now there's not, other than Parity, there's really not a good way to do multi-sig wallets. That's one of the best features that you could have.
Now, why don't you, for the people that don't know, why don't you kind of explain what a multi-sig wallet is and why that's so great?
The multi-sig wallet is, you can make it like a checking account if you want, more or less. You can have a number of public keys that, and then out of that number, you have a subset that controls it. So you could have 2 people out of 3, and as long as 2 people sign off on something, then the wallet will go through. Or you could have a 2 of 2.
Okay.
So say you have the simplest 2 of 2 would be like just backing yourself up. If you have a wallet on your phone and a wallet on the computer,
Okay.
and you're going to make a transaction, it takes both wallets approving it in order for it to go through. So you can send it from your phone and then approve it on your computer.
Okay. So how would that, I'm just thinking like, so suppose we both shared an account, or all 3 of us.
Mhm.
So then I want to spend money on it and get your approval, both of your guys' approval. How would you then send your signature to my, let's say, Parity node wallet to make that happen?
Well, if we all have parity, then it's just a simple click confirm whenever the transaction comes through. If we did a 2 or 3 and we all were running parity, then
Okay.
it would have it has all 3 of our public addresses in there, and it has who is trying to send the money, and then either Christian or me or whoever else is going to approve it just clicks confirm, and then as long as 2 out of the 3 people approve it, then it's good to go.
Okay. And so, but the concern is that if you're not all by coincidence running parity, then it's not quite so easy.
Right. Then everyone has to have the same ABI code and plug into either my Ether wallet or
Okay.
figure it out yourself and
I see.
figure out how to send the confirm and
Okay.
realize that a transaction's gone through.
Okay.
So,
Good. All right. So
but yeah,
I
multi-state.
think we've covered everything I can think of. Was there anything else that we missed, Carlo, or to ask, or Cody? Anything that we should have asked you that you wish we asked you that you want to say?
No, anything you want to talk about?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I just wanted to know maybe some things that I know you brought up that ETC doesn't necessarily have that interface that's going on right now, and that's something that definitely Splix and everybody's working on with Emerald Wallet. Maybe we can brainstorm a little bit right now and have whoever's listening out there ideas that we're thinking about right now, ways that ETC can improve and things that we can do since you're so integral to everything that's going on with ETC. Maybe we could just think of some things right now that we can improve upon and things to do in the future. You brought up one of the key things, which is the Emerald Wallet, which will fix a whole bunch of stuff. But what are some other things that have been on your mind as far as getting done?
Well, like
Like
you mentioned, marketing.
To-do list. Yeah.
Yeah, marketing.
How would you improve marketing? What would you suggest there?
Do marketing would probably be a good start. I don't feel like we're actually
like, what do you want? TV commercials or what?
No.
Well, I know DCG and Grayscale, they're out there. They're pressing the flesh and meeting with the industry makers and trying to make things happen, and that's great. But on the ETH side, they sell the shit out of that.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
They took all the marketing with them whenever they left. Like I said, they're having conferences and they're at the weekly meetups on all the major cities, and
Okay.
Consensus is constantly traveling around. They're meeting with industry leaders, and that's the first thing that they see is we're the Ethereum system, and this is what we do. And there's these other scrubs that are classic. Don't worry with them.
So for the people that are listening, you would like it if people were meeting with industry leaders, and if that involved having more conferences, or whatever it takes to meet the power brokers.
Meet the power brokers, but also the meetups are important too. Being out there and whenever you go to a meetup, just actually talk about ETC. And there's always going to be the initial eye roll whenever you bring it up, but after that, everyone I've always met has been really nice about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Good.
Okay. Marketing, meetups. What else you got?
Improving user interfaces, avoiding talking about price and stuff. I know that's the funnest part, and like I said, that's the traders are really the only ones who are really into it right now because that's the exciting part. But all 3 of us were here whenever the price was 50 cents, and we were trading back and forth on the Slack. So the price isn't that it's a great system without the economics of it involved. The price is going to rise and the price is going to fall.
Yeah,
So
very true.
Good.
that doesn't change
Yeah.
the fact that it's awesome technology.
Yeah, I'm definitely guilty of that. I had to bring up the markets with the first thing I did on the show. Well, it's such a crazy week. How could I just ignore the elephant in the room?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I finally got my wife to start doing Bitcoin and holding it. And the first thing that happens, it goes from 3,000 to 2,500. So she's
Are
like,
you
"What's it
serious?"
doing?" Yeah. So I was like, "Stop! Don't sell it. Just wait. It's going back up."
Well, I know we're not supposed to talk about markets, but I'll do it anyway. The funny thing is, I think it was Barry or someone else from DCG tweeted out that Pitbull got on CNBC and was talking about Bitcoin, and someone was like, "This is it. It's over. This is the
Yeah.
top." Because I think Pitbull did the same thing with the housing market in Canada. They like I have to fact check this, but apparently he got on like CNBC or some other show and he's like, "Yeah, Canada real estate is hot," and then it just like fell through the floor like a week later or something. So
Yeah.
So somebody listening should talk to Pitbull then about ETC is what you're saying.
Yeah.
no, we don't want him talking about ETC. No. That means it's the end. I don't want him talking about ETC ever.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I thought that was pretty funny. But what else? So we got the definitely marketing meetups, the user interface, like you said.
Yeah. Transaction fees are pretty low, so that's still good.
Yeah, that is.
The mining pools, it'd be nice if everyone could spread out their hash more. That way, we don't have one person that has 30% of the hash rate.
That would be pretty good.
That's not not a sexy topic, but just general.
No,
minor.
Not
management.
sexy, but important. So there's some stuff that people are working on that's like some smart pool implementations that I think would be really pretty cool stuff for the future. I don't know if you've heard anything about that.
No, I haven't. What's that?
It's people that are working in blockchain that are working on this implementation that it's like decentralized, smart. I don't know exactly how it works since I'm obviously the least technical here, but I know that it definitely helps with the mining pool centralization issue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, a lot of it, I think what it is whenever you first get into mining and you download the Claymore miner or wherever it is, most people are just hitting start and letting her rip. They're not going through and actually doing research on what the different mining pools are or why there's more than one of them. So they're just going with the first ones that are loaded into the system, and then there's no reason to change after they're already going with it because they're getting payouts regularly. So it's not like if you go to a smaller pool that you get paid less. You get paid based off of whatever your hash rate is, no matter what the pool is.
Yeah.
So the danger is if someone has 30% or 40% of the hash rate, then you're pretty much just relying on that one miner, and you get in situations like Bitcoin is currently, where one miner can control the entire network, hold everyone hostage.
Now, it seems like you have a pretty good handle on mining and mining questions. I don't know if I could throw a mining question your way that you might not be able to answer. So the whole thing that's going on with Bitcoin and Gian and ASIC Boost and blocking SegWit, right? So my whole thing is that I get that people are upset that he's blocking SegWit, but one of the whole things with Bitcoin is proper incentives, or not just Bitcoin, but everything that's spawned from Bitcoin as well, is that all the incentives are lined up properly so that it doesn't matter if someone tries to act against the network, because then it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Right? So Gian develops this ASIC boost thing, and everyone's freaking out about it. But for me, in the true vision of what pure free market, capitalism that Bitcoin isn't the right answer for everyone to reverse engineer the ASIC boost so that everybody has it, and then he says, okay, everyone has it, doesn't matter anymore, let's do SegWit, right?
Yeah, you would think.
Isn't that the proper voluntary way of all of this being carried out without destroying the network?
Yeah.
Or no?
No, I think so. I think the thing is, once you activate SegWit, then you'd have to re-engineer ASIC boost. So that would
Right.
cut into the probability a little. But yeah, generally speaking, I don't think that a 51% attack is feasible in today's market, just because the
Yeah.
cost of it is high. And then whenever you actually did it, so many people are watching the network that it would pretty much, you couldn't get it to the Poloniex in time to cash out.
Right.
So I think it's much more profitable if you have, I haven't looked at what the hash rate of ETC is lately, but probably around 2 or 3 tetrahashes. But so if you had that much, or if you had half of it, and you attacked the network, and your whole goal was you were going to mine your own little private chain, and then throw it on the network and make a bunch of coins and cash out. By the time you did that, everyone would have already realized what had happened, and the exchanges would lock down, or the price would have already dropped so low that it wouldn't even be worth it.
Yeah.
And for me, it would be much more economical if you could just, if you had that much hash, just join the network, mine on it, and then.
Yeah. See, my whole thing, he's definitely acting selfishly, but the whole point of everything is that people act selfishly and it just magically works great.
Yeah.
So to me, yeah, to me, he developed something. He specifically developed something that makes the network stronger. To me, it's up to everybody else to catch up to him and make his advantage moot. And then when his advantage is moot, then he says, "Okay, guys, let's do SegWit."
Right.
Or am I just way off base on that?
No,
I still haven't asked anyone. I have to speak to more Bitcoin-centric people about this, but it's just a thought I had recently.
Yeah, mining's an arms race, basically. Right now on Classic and regular Ethereum, you can't buy video cards anywhere. That's the point it's got at, is where we can't do ASICs, so the only way to do it is to have the best GPUs. And right now, you cannot buy RX 570 or 580 or even 470s, 480s. They're out of stock worldwide. And as soon as they hit Amazon or Best Buy or anywhere, they're gone the same day. I know Corey, he runs a mine for ETC and a couple other chains. His company started putting together pre-built mining rigs that had 480s in them, and they released them yesterday. It was 200 mega hashes, plug and play mining system, and it took maybe 2 hours, and they were sold out.
Wow!
So he's in the right business then.
Yeah, right now it's crazy. People are selling their mining rigs on Craigslist for like $4,000, and it's maybe $1,000 worth of parts in it.
Wow.
Yeah. So for anyone that's listening and was wondering who Corey is, Corey has been a huge part of the community as well. And shout out to Minertopia as well. That's his website that he sells mining stuff from. So maybe we'll put a link to that in the description below, along with some of the other relevant links. But so he sold out in how long? In 2 hours?
Yeah, it was. By the time I saw it on the Slack, and by the time I drove home, they were already. I couldn't get any. So I'm currently in the market for mining cards. If anyone has any, don't panic at CodyWburns.com. I have 4 or 5 slots open on my mining rig that I was building.
Okay.
Wow.
So I was hoping Father's Day would be one of those times where everyone released cards, but it doesn't look like it yet.
Yeah. Sounds good.
And what are these? The RX 570?
Yeah.
What's the best one in your opinion?
The 570 I think is the best as far as cost and cost per mega hash. The 580s are nice, but the 570s are the money makers, more or less.
And who is the manufacturer that makes these?
AMD.
Okay.
And what should someone be paying for something like that? What's a good price?
If you find them in Best Buy or Fry's or a store, you can pay probably $190 maybe. And
so should I be picking these up right now? Because I see that Best Buy has them in my area or something.
Do they? Where are you at? I'll drive there.
I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna like click on it. It's gonna say out of stock probably or something, right?
Yeah, but no, right now they're going on Amazon and eBay for probably $400 or $500 a piece.
Neobits has it for $211
Yeah,
11
they're
each.
back ordered there. Neobits and I think next
So you know,
warehouse.
back
Next
ordered.
warehouse
You're right.
has it too. Yeah. No, like I
Holy
said,
cow! This is
globally they're sold
crazy.
out.
That's insane.
So I mean, it really
Look at
sucks for
this,
other
5.
systems because I know those are awesome for VR stuff. If you have Oculus or anything like that, those are the cards to have.
Now, when did the 570s come out?
Uh, I'm not sure. I haven't been mining that long. I know it was recently, like within the last 6 months or so. They're
Okay.
kinda new.
So if I just if I bought a warehouse full of them 6 months ago, I could be selling them for $300 each right now or something.
Yep, that's about the size of it.
Should have bought that.
Yeah, well, even the previous generation, the 470s and 480s, they're still really good, and they're in a lot of mining rigs, and you can't buy them anywhere either.
Okay.
It's
Wow.
just it's I guess the other side of the market. The mining, it pretty much works the same as trading does. The miners are going to move to whatever's the most profitable coin. So if Ethereum's the one that's the moneymaker right now, everyone's going to pile onto that one until the hash rate rises so much that it breaks even with all the other coins. If Zcash price shoots up, then all the swing miners, I guess is what you call them, they're going to go to that chain. Because ETC has always had a base hash rate. But whenever the price rises, more miners pile on, and then whenever it goes down, some slough off to other coins. So whattomine.com is where you can check and see where the best profit is for whatever you're mining.
So have you been pretty happy with the amount of money you make mining versus the electricity bills that you
yeah, it definitely pays for itself easily.
Okay. So do you plan to keep scaling up and do more and more mining if you can because it's profitable then?
There's a point where I'm pretty much at where my wife's gonna make me not have stuff in the house anymore.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah.
Eventually it gets annoying to have the loud computers. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So right now it's still in the corner. So she's gotten curious about it of why does it seem like I keep buying more cards for it and it's getting bigger and bigger, but it's not to the okay, seriously, what's going on here phase yet.
I see.
So she's not worried about you yet, so to speak.
Yeah. It's not a nuisance yet. It doesn't scare the dog. It's still more quiet than the Roomba. So
does it heat up the house though?
No, not really. I don't have that many cards.
Okay.
I'm small scale. My rig's trying to get 6 cards still. Like I said, it's difficult.
Anything else?
He's trying to get to the point where his wife is worried about him.
Yeah.
He's almost there. Yeah.
Almost there.
Anything else?
And then
we still need to cover?
No,
that we missed?
Nothing I can think of.
All right.
I think that covers all the bases.
Yeah. Thank you, Cody, for all your wisdom and for sharing your thoughts with us today. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Really great to have you on. We'd love to have you on again sometime, as well as everyone else from ETC Dev and everyone from participating on the Grow and Deep team from IOHK and anybody else from the community that really participates a lot. I'm always open to having you guys on the show. So just reach out to me on Slack or on Reddit or any other way that you do know how to reach me, and I'd love to have you on. So for everybody listening, I appreciate the time you took to check out the show and listen to everything Cody has to say. He's a great part of the community, and looking forward to the next show, guys. Yeah, absolutely. Christian, thanks again. Cody, thanks again. Take care, guys. Good night.
If you are passionate about anything related to Ethereum Classic and you have some